Hello friends, and welcome to Wise Pages. Today, we're going to talk about a book that has the power to fundamentally change how you work, think, and live, Deep Work by Cal Newport. In today's world, there is absolutely no shortage of distractions. Notifications, social media, emails, and endless meetings have fragmented our attention and conditioned our brains to operate on a shallow level. It feels like we're constantly busy, yet at the end of the day, we often wonder what we actually achieved. It is in this context that Cal Newport's Deep Work arrives as a powerful solution, offering a clear path back to focus, productivity, and meaningful accomplishment. The book begins with a strong and compelling hypothesis. Newport argues that the ability to perform deep work, the skill of focusing without distraction on a cognitively demanding task, is becoming increasingly rare in our economy. At the same time, it is becoming increasingly valuable. Those who cultivate and master this skill will thrive and achieve the most success in today's knowledge economy. Think about it, while most people are mindlessly scrolling through social media or constantly checking their WhatsApp, if you can dedicate just 2 hours of intensely focused, distraction-free work, the advantage you gain is immense. That is the essence of deep work, intense concentration that leads to the creation of high-value, meaningful output that sets you apart from the average. But deep work isn't just a single method, it's a philosophy that can be adapted to your lifestyle and the nature of your work. Newport outlines 4 distinct approaches or philosophies for integrating deep work into your life, allowing you to choose the one that fits best. The first is the monastic philosophy. This approach involves complete isolation. You disconnect from the world entirely to focus solely on your work, minimizing all forms of distraction. This method is best suited for those in creative or research-based professions, such as writers, scientists, or scholars. A classic example is J.K. Rowling, who checked into a hotel to finish the last Harry Potter book, removing herself from all distractions to immerse herself completely in her writing. The monastic strategy is extreme, but it can be incredibly effective for producing high-quality work. The second is the bimodal philosophy. This approach involves dividing your time into 2 distinct modes, periods dedicated to deep work and periods for everything else. For example, a professor might interact with students throughout the week but dedicate weekends to isolation for research. This requires dedicated, long stretches of deep work, say, 4 to 6 hours without any interruptions. It's a balanced approach that allows for both deep concentration and the necessary shallow interactions of daily life. The third, and perhaps the most practical for many, is the rhythmic philosophy. This strategy involves creating a simple, consistent routine by scheduling a fixed time each day for deep work. For instance, you might decide that every morning from 7 to 10 a.m., you work exclusively on your most important tasks. This transforms deep work into a habit, like going to the gym, removing the need to constantly decide when to do it. This consistency builds focus and gradually improves your concentration capacity day by day. The fourth and most flexible approach is the journalistic philosophy. In this method, you practice fitting deep work into any available gaps in your schedule. Like a journalist who can switch into a deep thinking mode at a moment's notice, you learn to use any free time you find to engage in focused, meaningful work. However, this requires a strong pre-existing ability to focus, as it involves rapid mental switching. It's a challenging but powerful technique for those with unpredictable schedules. So, which of these 4 strategies is right for you? It depends on your lifestyle, the nature of your work, and your mental discipline. You might start with the rhythmic strategy and gradually move towards the bimodal or monastic approach. Or, if your job is highly variable, the journalistic strategy might be the most practical. Now, it's crucial to understand a key insight: deep work isn't just about removing distractions. It's about actively training your brain to maintain focus. This is a skill that comes with practice. Just as you need to work out to strengthen your body, you need daily deep work to sharpen your mind. Imagine if you dedicated just 2 hours a day to pure, focused work. The output you could generate in a month could be more impactful than a year's worth of shallow, distraction-filled work. That's the power of deep work, achieving more in less time, creating higher quality, and experiencing a deeper sense of satisfaction. When you complete a task without interruption, you achieve a sense of fulfillment, a sense of flow that multitasking or constant breaks can never provide. Deep work, in a way, turns work into a form of meditation. But let's be honest, deep work is not easy. Distractions are everywhere: smartphones, emails, chats, and even our own wandering minds. This is why Newport recommends specific techniques, rituals, and habits to gradually make deep work a part of your daily routine. A critical first step is clarifying your priorities. You must learn to say no to shallow things so you can say yes to what truly aligns with your goals and values. This brings us to a central concept in the book, the distinction between deep work and shallow work. Many people spend their entire days busy but without creating anything of real value. Why? The answer often lies in shallow work. Newport defines shallow work as tasks that look important but often lack deep value. These are non-cognitively demanding, logistical-style tasks performed while distracted. Think answering emails, attending meetings, filling out forms, formatting presentations, or managing a calendar. These activities consume a massive amount of time but yield minimal actual progress. If your entire day is consumed by these tasks, no matter how many hours you work, your results will always be average. You haven't done anything truly meaningful, creative, or impactful. Newport argues that shallow work is not just unproductive, it is destructive. It slowly eats away at both your time and attention, creating an illusion of busyness. The biggest danger is that shallow work creates an illusion of productivity. You feel busy, you feel like you're working, but when you track what you've actually learned or what impactful result you've produced, the answer is often not much. This is dangerous for your career because in our knowledge economy, success belongs to those who can perform high-value, deep-thinking tasks. Furthermore, shallow work weakens your attention span. Every time you check an email or reply to a random message, your brain shifts into shallow mode. Constantly operating in this state makes you lose the habit of thinking deeply. Scientific research confirms that if you switch your attention multiple times a day, your ability to focus degrades over time. This is why Newport urges us to actively combat this shallow culture, which often exists in organizations where people continuously email each other, schedule meetings for trivial matters, and expect immediate responses to everything. In such a culture, no one can do deep work because they simply don't have the breathing space. So, what is the solution to this shallow work epidemic? The first step is awareness. When you start to understand which tasks are shallow and which are deep, you can make conscious choices. Ask yourself, is this task directly connected to my goals? Will this help me learn, grow, or create something valuable? If the answer is no, you can work to minimize, automate, or delegate that task. Newport suggests a few practical strategies to drain the shallows. First, restrict shallow tasks to a fixed time slot. For example, dedicate only 30 minutes a day to checking emails, or schedule planning meetings just once a week. The more you put boundaries around shallow tasks, the freer your mind becomes for deep work. A smart strategy for emails is batching. Instead of checking emails sporadically throughout the day, do it just once or twice a day at fixed times. This protects your mental flow and keeps you distraction-free. For meetings, Newport's advice is clear: never agree to a meeting without a clear agenda and purpose. Meetings are often held just because they seem normal, but if there is no solid outcome, they are a waste of time. You can often resolve an issue via a short email instead of an hour-long meeting. Now, the second core concept that Newport emphasizes is that deep focus requires training. The ability to think deeply and work with focus is not a magical talent, It's a skill that can be developed with practice. Just as you build muscle in the gym, your brain's capacity for focus can be built through exercise. The problem is that today's average person has become addicted to multitasking. Checking your phone every 2 minutes, scrolling through Instagram, and then working on a different window all harm your focus. This is why Newport argues that deep focus doesn't happen on its own. It requires regular mental training. One powerful technique he recommends is productive meditation. This means taking a simple activity, like walking or traveling, and using that time to think deeply about a single problem or project. You keep bringing your mind back to that topic whenever it wanders, similar to how you focus on your breath during meditation. This method strengthens your attention and builds the habit of thinking deeply. He also strongly advocates limiting your network tools. In today's world, every app, WhatsApp, Twitter, LinkedIn is designed to pull your attention back again and again. But if you want to do deep work, you must control these tools, not the other way around. This doesn't mean going completely offline, but rather deciding smartly which tools to use, when, and for how long. Turn off notifications on all social media apps or decide on a fixed time to check them. This keeps your mind free from distractions and allows you to stay more focused. Another simple yet effective habit is to schedule daily focus sessions. Dedicate a short, uninterrupted time, say 30 minutes each day, to working on just one task. No phone, no internet, just pure concentration. In the beginning, it will feel difficult. Your mind will be restless. But slowly, like a muscle, it will develop. The benefit is that your learning speed also increases. Because your mind is free from distraction and puts all its energy into one thing, you can learn new skills much faster. Whether you are an entrepreneur, student, artist, or engineer, once your mind learns to think deeply, you can make decisions with clarity and confidence in any situation. This is a game changer for anyone wanting to master a new skill like writing, coding, designing, or problem solving. Now, let's address one of the biggest barriers to deep work in modern life: social media. Newport is highly critical of how we automatically reach for our phones whenever we feel bored or have a free moment. This has become a default behavior. We don't choose these platforms because they are truly adding value to our lives, we choose them because everyone else is on them. Newport argues that blindly using social media is one of the biggest obstacles to focus and deep work. He doesn't advocate for a dramatic, extreme step of quitting social media, but rather a thoughtful, intentional decision. We must ask ourselves, does this platform truly add substantial value to my life? If the answer is yes, then keep it. If not, then leave it, no matter how popular or entertaining it may be. He introduces an interesting concept, the craftsman approach to tool selection. This means we should select our digital tools just as a skilled craftsman carefully selects their tools, only using those that clearly support a core goal. For example, if you are a photographer and Instagram is the best way to reach your audience, then keep it. But if you are just using it to compare yourself to others, feeling jealousy or distraction, then it is harmful to you. To break this cycle, Newport suggests a practical test: take a 30-day break from all optional social media tools. Then, observe whether you feel a void in your life or if you actually experience an improvement. Are you more focused? Have you done more meaningful work? Is your anxiety lower? This becomes a practical test that shows you which tools are working for you and which are controlling you. Now, the next step in your deep work journey is to consciously reduce shallow work so you have the mental space and time for deep, cognitively demanding tasks. This is what Newport calls draining the shallows. The first step is awareness. Identify the shallow tasks in your daily routine. Then, make a conscious effort to minimize, delegate, or automate them. Newport suggests performing a weekly schedule audit. Write down every task and analyze it. Can this goal be achieved without this task? Does this task require deep focus, or does it just create the appearance of busyness? You'll find that many tasks are merely time fillers, not real progress. Time blocking is one of the most powerful techniques to structure your day effectively. This involves dividing your entire day into blocks and assigning a specific task to each block. You know exactly what to do and when to do it, helping you avoid unnecessary distractions. A perfect time-blocked day allows you to be intentional about every hour, ensuring you are always moving towards your important goals. This might sound robotic or boring to some, but the reality is quite the opposite. Scheduling every minute of your day is not about becoming rigid, it's about becoming intentional. It puts you in control of your time. Instead of reacting randomly, you act with a clear purpose, and that intention drastically improves your productivity and focus. A common habit people have is creating a to-do list. But a to-do list has a fatal flaw: it lacks time. You simply list tasks without deciding when and for how long you will do them. This leads to tasks getting postponed, confusion over priorities, and shallow tasks getting the same attention as deep ones. Time blocking solves this problem. When you start your day with a calendar that has a dedicated time for each task, your mind works with clarity and discipline. Your attention is managed. In today's world, attention is your most valuable asset, and time blocking protects it. Furthermore, the power of routine cannot be understated. When you build a fixed routine for deep work, the same place, the same time, the same process, your mind accepts it effortlessly. Resistance fades away. The human brain is a pattern-loving machine. When it receives the same structure repeatedly, it simply gets to work without too much overthinking. This is the power of a routine. It creates a mental trigger that signals it's time to go into deep mode. By building a simple routine, you reduce decision fatigue. You don't waste energy deciding when or where to work, you just focus on the work itself. This consistency builds upon itself, creating compounding growth in your career. But here's the important nuance: this routine must also apply to rest. In today's hustle culture, there's a lot of talk about grinding harder and sleeping less. But Newport offers a completely different perspective. He argues that if you want to sustain high performance over the long term, you must give downtime, rest, disconnect, and breaks the same importance as work. Without recharging, you simply cannot do deep work. Our brain's energy is limited. If you constantly spend it without recharging, performance will drop. This is why every athlete, artist, and scientist takes recovery seriously. Without quality rest, deep work is impossible. When you work continuously, your mind gets tired and slips into a shallow mode, losing its depth, clarity, and focus. This is why proper sleep, digital detox, and intentional breaks are crucial for clarity, motivation, and deep thinking. Research proves that during sleep, our brain processes the day's information, deletes unnecessary things, and consolidates useful learnings into memory. Even when you're sleeping, your brain is silently working, but only if that sleep is deep and uninterrupted. Newport also emphasizes the importance of learning to tolerate boredom. If you fill every empty moment with your phone, your brain never gets bored. And when there's no boredom, there is no creativity. So, if you want to become a deep thinker, you must leave empty space in your routine: intentional walks, no screen evenings, or a weekly digital detox. You'll find that when you give your brain some breathing space, your performance naturally improves. This brings us to a fascinating paradox that Newport presents: be lazy and work hard. On one hand, you need to be intensely focused when you work; on the other, you need to fully disconnect when you don't. No half-hearted work, no multitasking, no just keeping busy approach. Either work completely or rest completely. Most people do neither. They work while checking social media, they read emails in the evening, they keep their minds in a constant state of limbo. The result is that they never fully switch on, and they never fully switch off. The quality of their output is compromised, and they never truly recharge. So, if you want to do deep work, you must protect your focus fiercely. Consider your evenings, your weekends, and your rest time as sacred. Turn off your phone, mute your notifications, and completely relax. This relaxation fills you with the energy you need to come back with laser-like focus. So, what is the core message of deep work? It's that in a world of shallow distractions, focus is your greatest superpower. It's a skill that is both rare and valuable. You can choose to look busy, or you can choose to be truly productive. The difference lies solely in the choice between shallow and deep work. Deep work is not just a technique, it's a mindset. It is a conscious decision to engage deeply with your work, to train your mind, and to build the discipline needed to achieve meaningful outcomes. It's about learning to say no to the trivial and yes to the monumental. When you create a structure for your day, build a routine, and protect your time from distractions, you unlock the ability to achieve more in less time, with less stress and more satisfaction. So, the next time you sit down to work, make a conscious decision. Tell yourself that from now on, you are starting a journey of deep work. In the beginning, it will be challenging. You might feel restless. But gradually, as you see your work improve, your mind become calmer, and your growth become real, you will understand that deep work is not just a technique but a whole new way of living and working. It is how you move from a life of constant reaction to a life of intentional creation. Thank you for joining us on Wise Pages. If this summary resonated with you, consider subscribing to our channel to explore more transformative ideas. We hope this inspires you to unlock your potential and dive deep.